everyone, welcome. I hope this video finds you happy, healthy, and safe. If you're new here, my name is Rhonda with Rhonda's Craft Frenzy. I thank you so much for spending your time here with me today. It's so much appreciated. Today, I'm going to show you how I put together these $3 Tree Trash to Treasure DIYs that you can put your own creative abilities into it. Super easy, super fun. Let's not waste any more time. I'll beat you to the craft table. For DIY number one, I used a package of burner covers, a wooden round lid that I had just laying around, a 1-inch dowel, and a knob. You'll see later in the video that I changed it up and I used a bucket instead of the smallest burner cover, but watch for that. I needed a hole in the center for that rod, so I taped the lids on top of the wood that already had a hole in it. I drilled the hole just big enough so I could slide that rod into it, and that was the easiest way I could think of. I'm sure there might be a better, faster way, but this one worked. Here you'll see how I changed to my bucket. To secure each piece in place so they wouldn't slide up and down, I used a thick double-sided tape under the pieces, and then I put a zip tie over that. And again, I'm sure there's a better way, but this I thought was going to work for me. You'll see what I did to change it up a little bit again. Once it was done, it was a little bit wobbly, so I had this idea to use these noisemakers from the party section at the dollar store because my rod fit right through the center of them. I cut each piece down with a miter saw and a razor knife, and that seemed to work fine. I used hot glue after I lined up the holes and put those right on the bottom of the plates. I slid a rod through using wood glue and hot glue on the bottom of it and drilled a hole in the top for my knob. I slid all the pieces in place over that rod. I next took it outside and I spray painted it with my favorite matte clamshell Rust-Oleum. And once it was dry, I went over the edges with Waverly's Jet chalk paint. I wanted it to look like porcelain, like chipped porcelain. And once all that was dry, I used this bloom sticker. It came from the dollar store where those wall decals are. I fit it on the front of the bucket, and I did have to cut the letters out individually. The other thing I did was I used rub-on decals just to decorate it up a little bit on the front of my pot. And lastly was to decorate it. I used floral foam, I cut it to size, and I glued the pieces on each layer. I added greenery on the bottom 2 layers, and I put flowers in that top bucket. That completes this one, and I hope you like it. For my second DIY, I got this little basket thing with the fabric over it. I didn't really care for that pattern so much, so I decided to paint it with Mineral Waverly's chalk paint. And just on the fabric, it had that little cute lace on the top of it, but I left that white. And this did take 2 coats. I then just went over those wood pieces on the ends with some antique wax. You know how much I love that stuff. I then used a stencil that said family, and I dabbed white chalk paint on one of those cardboard tags. I added a little jute string bow on the front of that tag. I hot glued that on the front of this little remote control holder for my coffee table. I hope you like this quick and very simple DIY. For my last one today, I started out with this board. It's about 5 foot tall and it's probably like 1.5 to 2 inches thick. It already was white, but it was a mess, so I painted it white for my first layer. I then added a layer of antique wax. On top of that, I did a layer of moss by Waverly. And my idea was I wanted this to look really old, and I wanted it to have all kinds of different wooden kind of tones going through it, just like it was sitting out weathered for a really long time. I then took some stickers. Some came from the Dollar Tree, and the larger ones I've had for quite some time. I'm not really sure where they came from, sorry, but they're about 3 inches tall. I wrote out the words "Hello Sunshine" on my board with those stickers. I paint over all those stickers in kind of like a dry brush technique. Again, I'm going for that really old weathered look on these. I did want to let you know that I did pull those letters off before that paint was completely dried. I always find it easier that way because then it doesn't pull up on the edges and then there's no cleaning involved in it. I used some window clings that I had left over from Easter, but I just obviously went for the flowers on them just to give it a little bit of color. I placed them here and there until I liked it, and then I went over it with a very thick coat of Mod Podge, and this was done. I hope you like it. I loved mine, and I put it right on my front porch. As always, I appreciate you spending your time here with me, and I hope you found some inspiration in my video. Please consider subscribing to my channel, and if you like something you saw, hit that thumbs up button. Don't be shy with your comments. I really hope to see you next time, and until then, keep those glue guns at the ready.